Hi, and welcome to episode number 17 of Get Involved Pittsburgh here on PCTV 21. Thanks very much for tuning in. My name's Tom Baker, and I'm looking forward to being back in the studio here. We had a little hiatus for a year or two, but we're back here for episode number 17 of Get Involved Pittsburgh. Our show is all about talking with local leaders who are making a difference in the region, learning about important organizations that are helping youth and helping people of all ages here in our community. It's a really positive show. We hope that you enjoy it very much as you tune in from time to time to watch Get Involved Pittsburgh. Get Involved Pittsburgh is an initiative of Get Involved Inc., which is a local 501c3 nonprofit organization that just celebrated its 5th anniversary here of making a difference in the community. The 4 core programs of Get Involved Inc. are the Power Hour series. You'll get to meet my co-host for the Power Hour series a little bit later in the show, Laura Amster. There's the Fast Track Leadership Program, which is a 12-week engagement program throughout the summer for young leaders here in our community. I should say young professionals and lifelong learners as well with Fast Track. We have the annual Service Summit that's coming up in late March. We'll talk about that as well a little bit later in the show. The 7th annual Pittsburgh Service Summit, that'll be in late March. And then finally, there's the Empowership Conference, which is every fall. That program is specifically designated to get college students and graduate students more involved, and high school students as well, more involved in the community. So we've got a lot of good things going on with Get Involved Inc., and we'll talk about those a bit later in the show with Laura Amster. But we have 3 of my colleagues, 3 of my friends from Big Brothers Big Sisters here to talk with us today. Outside of Get Involved, in my primary job, I am the Chief Community Affairs Officer at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Pittsburgh. BBBS is a great program that I've been involved with for 14 years now. My little brother Preston was 10 when we got matched, and he is now a 24-year-old young professional. So I feel very lucky to have gotten to be involved as a volunteer and on a professional level with such a great organization. We'll be joined on the show today by Mandy Sable. She is the manager of the SiteBased Programs for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Pittsburgh. We'll be joined by Maggie Gill, who is the program manager for the Mentor 2.0 program. And we'll be joined by Annie Cunningham, who is the program outreach associate for Big Brothers Big Sisters as well, and a big sister. So we've got a great set of 4 strong women leaders, female leaders here in our community that will be joining us here on the show. And that's what it's really all about, making a difference. 2015 was a big year for Big Brothers Big Sisters. The organization turned 50. The most children were served in the agency's history. 1,400 children were served last year by Big Brothers Big Sisters, and the organization was named the National Agency of the Year out of 300 plus affiliates throughout the country, and also the National Board of the Year. So 2015 was a great year for Big Brothers Big Sisters, but it's 2016 now, and we got to find out what's going on with BBBS. So we have Mandy Sable here in the studio with us today. Mandy, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
We were just doing a little research before, and you were actually on the most recent episode as well before the hiatus here, so we're glad to have you back.
Thank you.
How long have you been with the organization?
It's a little over 7 years.
Great. And what have been some of your professional highlights in that time in your 7 years with Big Brothers Big Sisters?
I think really expanding the workplace mentoring program. When we started, we had 1 program with American Eagle, and we started actually Comcast, which is our largest workplace mentoring program. We started with about 16, 17 matches, and we're up to 30 matches each year. So starting that program has been great, and we've been able to expand that to BNY, and with we've had American Eagle, and then expand it to BNY and expand it to Eaton Park.
Very good. Yeah, that sounds great. Maybe just to give everyone watching an overview, how many site-based programs and school-based programs are there in Big Brothers Big Sisters?
So there's currently 23. 19 are located in Allegheny County, 2 are in Washington, and 2 are in Greene County. And then SiteBased is made up of 4 programs. We have high school bigs who mentor at elementary schools, and that's with particular high schools going down to the elementary. We have college big programs. We work with Robert Morris. We work with Washington Jefferson, Pitt, and CMU. And then we have our workplace mentoring, which is again with Comcast, American Eagle, Eaton Park, BNY, and Dominion and People's Gas also fit into that. And then we are part of the Be a Middle School Mentor initiative, which is by the United Way and Pittsburgh Public Schools, and we run 7 programs within Pittsburgh Public.
And I believe the Be a Middle School Mentor Program has now been in existence for about 7 years.
For about 7 years.
And this is a big year, right, for some of those first matches.
Yes, they will. So the first group of 6th graders will be graduating this year. We at Big Brothers Big Sisters were lucky enough to continue with about 11 of those matches that transitioned from site-based at the end of 8th grade into our community-based program. So we'll be honoring them in the next few, in April for our volunteer recognition dinner, which will be a great time just to hear their stories and how far they've come.
That's great. It sounds like there's going to be a record number of attendees, I think, this year at the volunteer recognition event, which will be great. So for the Be a Middle School Mentor Program, for those watching at home or online, what kind of a time commitment is that?
So it's about 45 minutes once a week. Some of the programs are at lunchtime, some are at the end of the school day, some are after school. They run Monday through Thursday, all over the city. We at Big Brothers Big Sisters have programs in the North Side, Lawrenceville, and West End, as well as in the South Hills. So we're looking for mentors. We'll be finishing up in February with our recruitment for this school year, but we'll be starting shortly with recruiting for next school year. And we're just looking for people who have time just to give 45 minutes to come to the school each week, be matched with a child, and just talk with them about what's going on in school and how getting ready for high school, what to look in for college. You know, Pittsburgh Public's really unique that they get to kind of select where they want to go to school. If they choose to do a magnet program, they don't have to go to their neighborhood schools. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And really talk about college and beyond, talk about career choices. We love to see who all our mentors are doing and the different types of careers that they have, because as you know, many of the kids that we work with, they think of teachers, they think of police, they think of what their parents do. They really don't know about all the different opportunities and careers that take up to make a business and what goes into it.
This is an amazing time in our city and in our region. You mentioned the opportunity to go to college.
Right.
The Pittsburgh Promise talking about that, and if you have pretty good grades and have pretty good attendance, that college really is a possible outcome for the young people in our city. For those school-based programs, for the volunteers, when they get there, do they have to plan the activities that they're going to do, or are there people that help with that from the organization?
No, there is a coordinator assigned to each site who really works with the group of mentors and designs activities and works them around just the interests of the students, of the mentors. A lot of it is relationship building, and then as I said, we talk about high school, college, and different career choices that'll just to expose them to all that.
Are there any particular sites where you need more volunteers, or maybe even people thinking about for next school year? What are some of the sites that really could use some more volunteers?
We always need mentors in the South Hills. You know, we have a program at South Hills Middle School, Southbrook, Brookline, and then in the West End at Classical. So we're always looking for mentors. Unfortunately, at this point of the year, we probably have to wait till next year, but we're looking for someone who can make that commitment, you know, of a year or 2 or 3. I don't want to scare people off, but we really want the child to bond with them and to build a relationship and to continue to grow. And hopefully that they still meet each other or still with each other when they graduate high school.
Right. I mentioned earlier the 1,400 volunteers last year and children that were served by those volunteers and through the organization. So I know roughly half of those are community-based, half are site-based.
Right.
Within your experience now, you've worked with thousands of volunteers through these 7 years. What do you think makes a good volunteer mentor in a program like Big Brothers Big Sisters?
I think what makes a good mentor is a person who's open to the child and to all that's going on in their lives. Many of the kids that we work with come from single-parent households or multiple brothers and sisters. They might be struggling a little bit academically or socially. So you really have to work with that child to find out what the needs are of that child. Sometimes our mentors will be like, I don't know if they need a mentor, but they really do. And they're recommended to the program for a particular reason. And sometimes that doesn't show right away. But our kids just need extra people, extra support, extra love in their lives to help guide them and support them. You can't have enough positive role models in a kid's life. It's all about encouraging and building them. And we don't know what the future holds for these kids. And for us, it's about being a sounding board, exposing them to different things. That's really the key that we're trying to instill in our mentors to be good for the children that they work with.
Okay. I mentioned earlier the 50th anniversary of Big Brothers Big Sisters as an agency here in the community. It was also a big year for SiteBased, as SiteBased turned 15, I believe.
Yes.
15 years of the SiteBased program. What do you, as the manager of the program, kind of see? And I know 15 years is a long time to think away, but maybe for these next few years or even next 15 years, what do you think the future of the SiteBased program could be? Fun question, right?
It is a fun question. When they started in 2000, they started with 3 programs. It was mainly high school and college programs. I'm really excited that it is expanding, and I'm excited to see that workplace is becoming more of an opportunity for different companies to get involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters. There's really a great value to have employees work with the company and want to give back. And I think that's really important. So I'm hoping to see the expansion of workplace. I'm excited to see where Be a Middle School Mentor will go. 7 years. I didn't know that it would be at this point. I know there's talk that they might expand to the suburbs, so I'm excited to see what that will look like in different regions across the area. So I hope it continues to grow. I'm constantly looking for new opportunities, and I'm excited to see where Big Brothers Big Sisters will go, because I feel like we're adding, when it started with just community-based and adding site-based and continuing to add new programs like Mentor 2.0, I think that there's different opportunities with college campuses that I would love to see.
Okay, great. You did mention, and I want to follow up a little bit on this, you mentioned the workplace programs and kind of the morale boost, not just for the children and the students in the program. Maybe if you can briefly talk a little bit about the benefits of being a volunteer mentor, just kind of what they get out of it as a mentor.
So I believe that it's just that added value to their job. They feel like the company's invested into a nonprofit and to giving back. For Comcast, I think it was about showing that they're involved and they want an agency that they can believe in and put resources in. And I think that they have done that. And I believe that a lot of our other companies have done that. There's a real sense of commitment to our volunteers that come from the corporations. They're giving up their lunch hours. They're going up to the schools on reverse days. But they really want to... there's a stableness to them. They're not going anywhere. It's built into their day at work, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great. All right, well, thank you so much for being on the show again. Hopefully we'll see you again. Hopefully it won't take 2.5 years to bring you back to the studio, but thanks for being on the show again. Mandy Sable, Site-Based Program Manager for Big Brothers Big Sisters. Congrats on all the accolades for the organization, and best wishes for the next 15 years, hopefully, of the Site-Based Program here in the community. That was Mandy Sable from Big Brothers Big Sisters. We'll be back in just a minute with Annie Cunningham, who is the Program Outreach Associate for Big Brothers Big Sisters. We'll be back with you in just a minute. And welcome back to Get Involved Pittsburgh. We hope that you enjoyed our interview with Mandy Sable, the Site-Based Program Manager for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Pittsburgh. We're back with another great leader from the organization. Annie Cunningham is here in the studio with us. She is the Program Outreach Associate. Annie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we're going to start off talking as a volunteer first. I know you're a proud big sister of Talana for about a year or close to a year now.
Less than a year, yeah.
How's your experience been as a big sister so far?
So far it's actually been an interesting experience, and I say interesting because essentially you're bringing 2 strangers together to hopefully make a major impact on their life. But I will say that it's rewarding in the sense that now we've gotten to a point where she feels a lot more comfortable talking to me about things, about schoolwork, what's going on in her family. So I just feel like we've gotten to a point where it's the rewarding side of it is starting to kick in. That's so I feel like we're having that bonding experience that everyone looks forward to.
And how often do you and Talana spend time together?
I would say a couple times a month. Okay. We've done things. I've gone to her house to bake brownies, and actually I was just with her on Saturday. We went to the movies, so it was a good time. We talked about school and how things are going, so it was a good time.
That's very good. I know it's a mixture of things that you as a volunteer mentor plan yourself, but also some agency events. Have you been to anything that the agencies put together?
I have. We actually went to the Penguins game. We got the opportunity to sit in the box and watch the game from up there. And for both of us, it was our first hockey game.
That was your first hockey game too? Oh, wow. Okay.
So
That's cool.
It was a good experience for both both of us, we got the chance to be around some other matches and, just really have a good time.
Did the Penguins win?
They did
win. They did win. Okay, good.
Yes,
okay, that's excellent.
They did
good.
win.
Okay, glad to hear that. Very good. So I'm glad you're enjoying your experience as a volunteer. We'll talk a little bit now as your role in heading up or helping with heading up recruitment. For maybe parents that are watching the show, how do they get their kids involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters? If they're sitting at home, they're like, this kind of sounds like a lot of fun. Like I have a child that could be, that might enjoy something like Big Brothers Big Sisters. How do families actually get involved with the organization?
Actually, the getting involved part is quite easy. Like you literally just have to make a phone call to us and say, I would like to get my child interested. We look for kids aged 6 to 13 to be in the program. We stop enrollment after 13, but then they get the opportunity to continue with the community-based program up through high school graduation. So they really get the opportunity to bond and have that relationship with their mentor. Hopefully it lasts the entire time. That's what the goal is.
Right, and I know while both sides are asked to make that 1-year commitment, the average match length is closer to 3.5 or 4 years, which is definitely a really positive thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, what kind of kids get involved in the program? Are they from particular neighborhoods? Are they specific ages or background? Is there one specific, or is it kind of just more loose?
A little bit of both. We get a mixture of everyone, but the primary group that we tend to get is our kids from single parent households. Excuse me. Yeah. And a lot of times we get mothers who sign up their sons to be involved in the program in hopes to get a big brother. So of course we always need more male volunteers in our program, but then we also have some dads who sign up their daughters, but that doesn't happen quite as often. So we always look for little girls as littles in our program as well. I
know one innovative thing that you've been working on is a partnership with Strong Women, Strong Girls, and actually going out to the schools and talking to the SWSG girls, female students about the program. Has that gone well? How's that partnership going?
It has gone well. It's actually, for me, as far as being able to reach out to other kids that we may not have talked to before, it's been the most rewarding, just in the sense that when I do get the opportunity to talk to the girls, they really seem interested. They already have the experience from having a mentor with Strong Women, Strong Girls, but then the idea of having a mentor that spends that quality time, that one-on-one time with them, just really seems to pique their interest. So we've gotten some responses, some good responses from that campaign. We were able to go out and send out some flyers and things like that. So we've gotten some good response to our program.
That's good. So it sounds like from a child perspective that boys get signed up a little bit more frequently, but there is that need, that there are certainly female volunteers ready to mentor girls if there's any parents or family watching the show and want to sign up their sons or daughters for the program. On the flip side, I think you mentioned that it's a little bit slower for men to get involved. Why do you think that is? I mean, obviously, I know that it's been an experience of a lifetime being involved as a big brother, but why do you think there's kind of a hang-up for men to step up and get involved with the program?
I'm not sure of the exact science of it, but just, even reading some things about it, I think guys just tend to feel like they have to have their things in order before they decide to volunteer, which is really not the case at all. It's a learning and a growing process for everyone, volunteers included. So we really want to push the idea that even the smallest things can make the biggest impact on a child's life. So you don't have to have, the house and the car and, living the American dream just to become a volunteer. Like, there are kids who need your attention right now.
Sure. So for these volunteers, where do they come? Where do you help? I know we do this together, but where do you find the volunteers in the community to kind of get involved in the program?
Well, we do all kinds of
we
things.
do. We have a good time doing it.
We do.
Yeah.
In fact, we just went to 21 Plus Night at the Carnegie Science Center. We find a lot of volunteers from there. And then we actually just go out into table at different events in the community, particularly in the summertime when we get to do the summer festivals and community days, things like that. So it's a lot more broad as far as events are concerned when we're looking for our volunteers.
And when you're out there, what kind of message are you sharing with these potential volunteers? If somebody's watching the show and they're just not sure if they want to do it or not, what do you think are maybe some of the main selling points to become with Big Brothers? A
lot of the pushback that I've heard is the time factor. So for me, the time commitment shouldn't really be an issue. We only ask that our volunteers spend, at least hang out with their little at least twice a month for about 3 to 4 hours. And in the long run, that's really not a lot of time at all. And then another thing, because we're expanding and growing, we have more opportunity for you to possibly become a site-based big. So as much as we would love for you to become a community-based big, there are other opportunities as far as timing is concerned.
Right, and I know that with the 3 different programs, for folks that maybe aren't sure which is the best fit, you're going to be you're on the show right now. Maggie's coming up next. Mandy was before you. So there are the 3 kind of core programs of Big Brothers Big Sisters. So really, just for folks, if they're not sure which program is the best fit, they can certainly call the office and see what would.
Absolutely. In fact, we encourage people to get more information before they decide to sign up. We know that people, want to do things to feel good, but it is a commitment. And so if there are things that you have questions about or you're not quite sure, we always encourage our potential volunteers to call and get more information. So that way, if they have some concerns, then we can go ahead and address them.
For a parent or a volunteer that's watching and just wondering, how do they decide which 2 people should be matched together? Is it just randomly out of a hat? I know you sit in on the community-based meetings and the site-based meetings. How are these matches actually made? How is it determined who should be matched with who?
Well, since I'm kind of newer to this process, when I first started, I wasn't sure how the matches happen, but what I've found to be interesting is the fact that there's a strategic process to how our kids are matched based on interest, location. There's a lot of different factors that go into how a child is matched with their adult volunteer. Like I said, location and interest and just really the type of background. There could be religious, connections, things like that. So just really, it gets down to almost the intimate details of just to make sure that we make quality matches and that they'll last.
Mm-hmm. One thing I think that's nice for young professionals that are watching, you have a neat story, right? You were in the corporate world. You kind of decided to follow your heart a little bit and to go into the nonprofit sector. Now that you're just past a year or so of doing that, how's the transition been for you from the corporate world to the nonprofit world?
I can honestly say that I love the transition.
That's good to hear.
It's definitely been a good one. I just feel that for me, it's a difference between selling bank accounts and then selling something that you can put your heart behind. I really believe in the future of our kids, and I'm very passionate about helping them, grow and develop. So for me, this program is more than just a sales pitch. It's just something that's necessary and for our kids to be great.
Great, that's excellent. Well, I asked Mandy Stable before you kind of the future of her program within the site-based program. Any goals or hopes or anything that you're working on within your work at Big Brothers Big Sisters?
For me, I would really like to see us grow internally to help us grow externally. For instance, with our Big Possibility series, just being able to connect with our matches on a life skills, teaching them life skills, things like that, just being able to say, I learned so many things from Big Brothers Big Sisters, but then also from the matches that we create.
We had the godfather of life skills, Penny Samaya,
absolutely,
at our first Big Possibilities, which was very good. So, well, Annie Cunningham, thanks very much for being on the show. Congrats on all your good work. Hopefully good future experiences for you and Talana in the program as well. So thanks to Annie Cunningham.
Thank you.
That was Annie, and our next guest is going to be Maggie Gill. We'll be back in just a minute with Maggie Gill, who is the program manager for the Mentor 2.0 program. And welcome back to episode number 17 of Get Involved Pittsburgh on PCTV 21 and 47 in the city of Pittsburgh. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. We are halfway through episode 17. We've learned about the site-based program with Big Brothers Big Sisters from Mandy Sable. We learned about the community-based program through Annie Cunningham. And now we have Maggie Gill Bovard here. She is the program manager for Mentor 2.0. It's a great innovative program that we have here, and it's still pretty new, right, Maggie?
Yes, second year. Started the second year at Brashear High School this year.
Well, that must be really fun. You've kind of gotten to see this from a dream to actual happening. How's that process been?
Yes, so I actually we celebrated my 4th year anniversary here at Big Brothers Big Sisters coming up in March. So I started on the site-based team with Mandy Sable, and it has allowed me to use those skills and different techniques and implement them in the Mentor 2.0 program at Brashear. So we started last year with a 9th grade group of about 75 children, young adults, I should call them, they're 9th graders.
That's right. Yeah.
And we transferred those into 10th graders this year, and then we started a new 9th grade group, and right now there's about 65 9th graders with the program.
Great. And are the sessions weekly? Mandy talked earlier about the weekly sessions. Is that how your program works?
So our program is similar to that. So once a week, myself and a coworker of mine, Leah, go in and we teach a specific lesson. And the lessons that we're teaching are all the non-cognitive skills that are not taught in the classroom. So specifically right now with the 10th grade group, we are working on digital leadership, digital citizenship. What does that look like?
What does that look like? What is
so
digital?
What does your Facebook page look like? So why
okay.
does, why is having an appropriate Facebook page a good thing? Why should you not be sitting there with, certain messages out there?
Right.
And we teach a specific lesson, and then those messages are on a secure platform where the students will send messages to their mentor on the topic. And then the mentor, anywhere that you can access the internet, you can be part of this program. So you're not limited to just always being in Pittsburgh. So if you're someone that travels weekly and you only can commit, to one time a month in person, this is the program for you. So you email. The email takes about 20 minutes on the specific subject, and then once a month in person, you would meet with your mentee. We don't call them bigs and littles in high school programs. We call them mentees and mentors. And then once a month for a 2-hour period. But similar to SiteBased, you're not coming up with what to do for those 2 hours.
Yeah, take us through maybe just a typical session. What are some of the things going on at a Mentor 2.0 session?
So the events are after school, and they're held from, right now, they're held from 5 to 7. So from 5 to 7, we always serve a full dinner, so whatever that looks like. The highlight is always Moe's. They love Moe's. But
welcome to Moe's?
Welcome to Moe's.
Okay.
We like Moe's, but we change it each time. So pizza, pasta, chicken, a full meal for the students to have, a hot meal. And then we do one-on-one activities and group activities that are elaborating and more in depth on what we've been talking about online.
Okay. And what are you mentioned digital leadership. What are maybe some of the other skill sets or things that the students have been working on with
So
them?
other things we've been discussing are self-advocacy. How to self-advocate for yourself, what does that look like, how to appropriately do it. Some of the students knew how to self-advocate, but some of their ways weren't really effective and positive ways. 9th grade is more about building that relationship and, what does a positive relationship look like, and that type of thing through the 9th grade. Now, since 10th grade and moving on, the ultimate goal of the program is to graduate high school and to figure out what that student wants to do after high school. Not every child is meant for college, and we totally appreciate that, and we understand that. So it's having that student be a contributing part of society. So whether that's working at a local plant or having a career, just being some part of society is what the ultimate program goal is.
Yeah, I think really, and I've mentioned this to you privately and in group settings, but you have, when I did your references for your position here, had one of the best references I've ever heard, and that was through your work outside of, obviously your career, but outside at Ross Park Mall.
Yep.
You've showed a lot of commitment to that role, working at Ross Park Mall, and maybe for a young person at home watching, what is the importance of maybe a part-time job or a side job while you're in school? What do you think you can learn out of something like that?
How to structure your life, why I actually worked at part-time jobs all through college as well is that's where you kind of get lost, is you're used to from 9 or 7:30 to 3 every day in high school. You go to school and, 8th period every day is science, and, you go in and they teach you something. Well, that's not like that in college. It's, you might have class 11, you might have class again until 3. So I need some time of how to structure my life and, make sure that between, those 11 and 3 hours that I actually was doing something and not just going back and watching TV and falling asleep. So I'm the type of person that always has to be doing something, so it made me structure my day and, have better time management. And that's another skill that we teach. What is time management?
Yeah.
And how do you effectively use your time throughout the day?
Right. So within that time frame that the students get to hang out and spend time with their mentors, the once a month the time that they get to spend together, what are some of the typical things that they talk about? Or is it how structured is it? What kind of are there prompts that you give the volunteers to talk about with their children, their students?
So we give them it's called an event packet, and they are welcome to use that. But we always, just like always other programs with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, it's whatever's best for your match. So you're welcome to follow, and we encourage you to follow the event template. But not always. So some students just need someone really to be their ear and listen to them and be that consistent person that emails every week and is there every month to meet with them in person. So some matches don't follow it, and some matches just talk about what's been going on in life, and that works great for them. But other matches need that agenda outlined. So most of the time you come in and it's dinner and you talk. We have this thing called dinner conversations that change each time. Around winter time, we talked about celebrations and how do you celebrate the holiday. Talk about celebrations that you have. Every month we catch up about, what's been going on in school, how have your grades looked like, what are we doing, or if you're in sports, how have the sports teams been? And then we get into the meat of what the topic is. So this week is actually our 10th grade event, which goes off of the digital leadership conversation. So they're actually going to be practicing interviewing skills and what does being an interview, how do you present yourself? And one of the activities that they're going to do is sell the person an object. So Each mentee is going to be given as different objects. So
Okay.
let's say it was this poster right here for us.
Yeah.
If you're the big
Yeah.
mentor and I'm the mentee,
Right.
I would have to sell you this poster. And what does that look like?
Okay.
So it's using different skills of
great.
public speaking, of those times together.
Okay.
And there's always a challenging activity. The students love anything with a competition. So anything to be competitive and you win the award is something that they like to do.
Right. Have you seen growth in these students? I know there's a 9th grade class and a 10th grade class at Brashear. Maybe what have been some of the takeaways in these first 2 years that you've seen as the program manager?
Yes. So one of our biggest fears when we first started the program was how are we going to get these kids to stay after school?
Right.
What is from, their event doesn't start till 5 o'clock. What are we going to do with them from 3 to 5? And as time went on, that was probably the easiest part of it, is actually having them stay, and they love to see their mentor as much as they're hard, and I'm in high school, but they truthfully just like that care and consistency every month of something that's there for them.
Right.
Our kids come from the same backgrounds, single family, multiple brothers and sisters, that they don't get that one-on-one time. They don't get that, I just want to talk about my life, and it's all about me. And they need that time, their voice to be heard. So the kids being able to see that person is there for them. The highlight would be the events. The events are an incredible opportunity just to witness sometimes 100 people in a room all there for the same purpose and for the same outcome.
I know for my wife, Erin, she loves being involved in your program. This is her 2nd year. She's in the 10th grade program with Samantha and you and having a great time. For volunteers or potential volunteers, I should say, that are watching the program, why should somebody get involved with the Mentor 2.0 program? What do you think are some of the benefits for the volunteers in the program?
Kind of our tagline with this is kind of just what it looks like. Do you believe in the future of Pittsburgh? So this is the future. I mean, it's not 10 years down the line. These are, 15,
Right.
16-year-old kids that this is what the next, their mayor could be. Your next mayor came from Brashear from the Mentor 2.0 program.
True, yeah.
It could be your next person that's your next CEO of the local corporation. So it's really believing, and if you believe in the city and what the future looks like, this is the program for you. And if you're someone that's looking to get more involved but don't have all that time commitment, you really just have to be, I don't care where you are 3 times of the month, as long as you can make it to Brashear for 2 hours 1 time a month, then sign up and get involved.
Okay. And if somebody looks at their schedule and it doesn't fit perfectly for 1 or 2 of the sessions, there are some makeup times,
There's
I believe,
makeup
right?
times, and
I know it's not the perfect
right.
outcome, but the hope is that everyone will be there together. But
We're flexible, so if you're not to make it every time, there's 8 times. It's really October to May. You meet once a month, and if you can't meet those times because of obligations, we're welcome to work with you and to figure something else out.
Okay, great. What's the best way to keep in touch with you to learn about the Mentor 2.0 program? I know it's a little early, but it's never too early to start recruiting for next school year.
Ours is a little bit ongoing. We get kids that come into the program all throughout the year. So if you're interested, look it up on our website, and my information's on the website, and I'm happy to interview you anytime that there's a need. Right now, we're actually looking for more mentors. I have a handful of kids that need volunteers right now. So our application process is heavy in the summertime, just like SiteBased in the fall, but we take people all year round.
Great. Well, it's called Get Involved Pittsburgh for a reason. We're hoping that folks watching at home decide to get involved. Please consider getting involved in Maggie Gill Mentor 2.0 program with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. A lot of wonderful things going on at Brashear High School these last 2 years, and the organization, I'm sure, would love to have you involved with Mentor 2.0. Maggie, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoyed your time on the show. Our final guest today will be Laura Amster. Laura is the program manager at the Global Switchboard and a board member for Get Involved, and she'll be back in just a minute to tell us a little bit more about what's going on at the Global Switchboard and what's going on with Get Involved. All right, we're closing out the show today with Laura Amster from the Global Switchboard. She's the program manager there and also a board member for Get Involved, Inc. Laura, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm glad to have. So maybe before we get to the Get Involved business, let's talk a little bit about the Global Switchboard.
Sure.
What is the Global Switchboard?
So the Global Switchboard is a co-working space based on organizations that are active in the city of Pittsburgh around global engagement. That's super broad, kind of purposefully so, but we have a ton of really cool organizations there, organizations that do global service learning, organizations that are nonprofit, for-profit, that are just starting to get incorporated, that have been around for decades and decades. So it's a really cool opportunity for organizations in the city to kind of come together around this issue of global engagement.
And it's an incredible space, too, like you mentioned.
It's a really cool space.
Where is it located?
It is in Lawrenceville, right on the corner of 34th and Ligonier. Really big, bright sign, the Global Switchboard.
It does. It hits you when you pass by. That is for sure.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm glad to hear things are going well at the Global Switchboard. We'll switch over a little bit to your Get Involved life. Welcome. You're a new board member and the new co-host of the Power Hour series. So we're glad to have you as co-host. What is Power Hour, just for those that are watching at home?
Sure. Power Hour is a quarterly networking happy hour for young professionals in the city. We have a panel every time. The topic of that varies. This past one, because it was my inaugural Power Hour, was kind of just like a finding your passion, getting to know you. Our next upcoming one, which is actually going to be on April 21st, is the 57th Power Hour. So we'll be doing a Pittsburgh traditions for that one, which is super exciting.
Great.
Really great opportunity. I think I love going to them. I loved going to them even before I came on the board. Really great opportunity for people to just come and hang out and learn about opportunities in the city and meet new people that maybe they wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet before.
Yeah, it's a positive space with just a lot of really positive people doing good things.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. Well, we've spent a lot of our summers together the last couple of years with the Fast Track program.
Yeah.
For maybe those that haven't heard about the Fast Track program, which now has 61 graduates of it, you being one of the 61. What is the Fast Track Leadership Program?
Fast Track Leadership Program is a program also for young professionals. But young professionals is a term, like a lot of things, it's defined very loosely.
Sure.
So students to mid-career professionals even. It's an opportunity for them. It's a 12-week program to learn about social justice and leadership. So basically every session, once a week for 12 weeks, we split up the session between a social justice issue and a leadership issue. And the idea behind that is to kind of show people what's going on in the community and then give them the tools to get involved. So we might pair LGBT issues with networking, or race issues with pretty much anything that you can think of on the kind of skills side.
Sure.
And we're trying to really get people involved in the community through issues that they might not know about or be familiar with and learn a little bit more about, and also give them that professional toolbox to really get involved in those issues.
Yeah, it's a nice opportunity for these 24 guest speakers to host sessions, for them to get to know 10 to 15 young professionals in the region. So I think it's mutually beneficial for both sides to get to learn from each other and kind of tour the city, seeing all these great places. So.
Yeah, we do try to switch around the sessions to one of the speakers' locations every time. So it's a great opportunity for speakers to show off their space and their organizations, as well as, you know, the joke in Pittsburgh is that, like, you don't cross bridges, you don't explore different areas.
We make people go see
places.
We
make people go see other places, yeah.
Very good. I know one of my favorites is always when we go down to Light of Life and spend time with Doug Smith there. That's always a great one. And it is really just a great way to keep energized in the summer and spend one night a week at least doing something really motivating and uplifting. So thanks for your good work with that. I know Dan Giovanelli and I were very lucky. I know it was a trio of coordinating the program, but you did the bulk of the work. So thank you very much for all of your good work with Fast Track. With you, we actually get to cover all four core Get Involved programs. The Empowership Conference, maybe the smallest of the four, but what is the Empowership Conference?
So the Empowership Conference is a program that we run specifically for students, college and high school. I should probably preface this by saying empowership is not a word.
Your former boss did make it up, right?
We did make it up, but the theory behind this is kind of empowerment through leadership. So it's a conference that, like I said, is specifically for students that really focuses on leadership development skills, empowerment. We have a couple of breakout sessions. We hear from a great keynote speaker. And it's a really great opportunity, once again, for students especially, to get involved in what's going on in their community, but especially for kind of the skills that aren't necessarily taught in college, like resume building or networking or things like that that are super necessary for when you begin getting involved in things that you're interested in, whether that's a career or volunteering or whatever. But that's a really great opportunity for them to kind of come and begin to learn those things.
Yeah, so that's good for high school students, college students, grad students. I know we had a lot of, was it Robert Morris students that came out last year, I think?
Yeah, or LaRoche maybe?
Oh, it was LaRoche, you're right.
So.
Yeah, it was Candace and the LaRoche students. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. It was the LaRoche students that came out in a big way this last year. So that'll be in the fall again for the annual Empowership Conference. Finally, last but not least, it is coming up soon, the 7th Annual Service Summit. So you're a former honoree, I believe, at the Service Summit or a Western PA Rising Star from a couple of years ago, which you definitely are a Rising Star here in the community. So maybe for somebody that has never been to the Service Summit, what does it look like? What's going on there? What are kind of the highlights for you of the Service Summit?
Sure. So the Service Summit is held at Carlow University. And it's really just a great opportunity to showcase some of the awesome talent and engagement that's in the city that might otherwise go unrecognized. We give a variety of awards to a variety of different kinds of people. So young people that are like the Western PA Rising Stars are young people that are really starting to show promise and really starting to do some great stuff, to Man and Woman of the Year, who are people that have been engaged for years and years and years. So really is a big spectrum of different awardees, which is super cool to see.
Yeah.
It brings a lot of people together. I think, well, what are we at, like 300 people
yeah,
or
300
so?
plus, yeah.
Which is so great. We also have the opportunity for organizations around the city to come and table at the event, which gives the honorees and also the people coming just to participate a really good cross-section of different ways to get involved in the city. Tons of different organizations come to do that, which is also a really interesting way to just kind of be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, the whole back of the room, I sometimes equate it to when you were in college, if you went to college, if you were in college and that activities fair that might have happened at your campus or organization outbreak, that's kind of what it's like for young professionals and lifelong learners there in the back of the room. So yeah, the Service Summit's coming up in March. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got the Power Hour series continuing on, and congrats again on being the co-host. Fast Track we'll have again in the summer, and then the Empowership Conference. So we've got 4 good things going on with Get Involved. And maybe for folks that are saying to themselves, that's cool, Laura's on a board of directors for a 501c3. I'd like to be on a board someday. As a young professional, so you're working your way up in your career, what's it like to be on a board of directors? And I know it's early on, but what's that experience like so far?
No, it's really great. When I was in high school, I was very, very busy. I was the kid that did everything. I was busy with like 2 or 3 activities every single day. And at the beginning of college, I consciously took a break from that and kind of wanted to slow down a little bit. And I wanted to have the opportunity to just do nothing and to veg. But that's also short-lived, and you need to pick up the pace sometimes. And Get Involved for me was a way that I could really start participating again in activities and stuff in the community through work, but also just because it was super fun and super interesting. And so to be able to sit on the board of directors and have a much greater say in our programming and to help organize it and to help build it is a really great opportunity for me, which I'm very thankful for. Yeah. But I think you really have to do stuff that you love, and I love Get Involved, so it seemed like a natural step for me to join the board, and I really encourage it. I think it's a great, I keep saying great opportunity, but like, it is.
I mean, that's absolutely true. I mean, people think that when you're in your 20s and 30s, there's no space for you to be on nonprofit boards, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Right. So I think our board is made up all of predominantly people in their 20s and 30s. So it's a great experience to be on a board, and certainly young professionals can be on boards of directors. All the different skill sets and the enthusiasm and just the oomph that they bring to organizations can make a big difference for sure. So, well, congratulations on all the good work that you're doing. Good luck to you and Nathan at the Global Switchboard and all the positive things happening there. And we'll look forward to Power Hour in April, the Service Summit in March, and lots of good things for Get Involved moving forward. So that was Laura Amster. Thanks very much for being our final guest here on episode number 17 of Get Involved Pittsburgh. We hope that you've enjoyed the show. Again, our guests were Mandy Sable, Maggie Gill, Annie Cunningham, and Laura Amster. Hope that you took a lot away from all 4 of the interviews with 4 great young professional female leaders here in our community. And I'm really proud and lucky to have all 4 of them as colleagues and friends. So I hope that you learned a lot. Hope you got educated about Big Brothers Big Sisters and about Get Involved Inc. Through our program. I often like to share the idea that if you hit the lottery and had all the money in the world and never had to work another day in your life, what are the things that you're passionate enough about that you would do it for free? And as you're watching our show at home or on your computer, I would really encourage you to consider that. If you did win the lottery, if you had all the money in the world and could fight whatever positive fight that you wanted to fight here in our community, what would you do? Who would you step up for? Who would you spend your time with? What are the things that you would like to do? And in some way, in 2016 here, find a way to make a difference with those organizations. We don't always need to donate a lot of money to organizations to be a great volunteer, to be a great advocate. So I would really just encourage all of you to think of ways that you can get involved and make a difference here in our city. You've learned a lot about Big Brothers Big Sisters. In our upcoming episodes, we'll always have friends back from Big Brothers Big Sisters and Get Involved, and we'll have some other great guests as we move on to episodes 18, 19, 20, and into the 20s. So again, thanks for tuning in very much to our reunion episode here of Get Involved Pittsburgh, episode number 17. We hope that you leave the show feeling inspired and feeling grateful for all the terrific opportunities. I know Laura said the term great opportunity. There are so many great opportunities here in our region. There's never a reason to be bored in the Burgh. So Pittsburgh, please get involved. Again, I'm your host, Tom Baker, and until next time, Get Involved Pittsburgh. Thanks so much.